So we're going to be looking at a video from a content creator known as Baz. Why did I say content creator? A YouTube. I'm sorry. Every time I say content creator, I just think of like OnlyFans and crap. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. It's because like certain women usually just say I'm a content creator. Short for only. I'm sorry. I am so sorry. I'm a little off my rocker at the moment. But yeah. So a YouTuber named Basileus Studios. I hope I pronounced that or Basileus Studios. Made a video about the Heraclian. I don't even know if I pronounced that, but we'll just go with it. The Heraclian Dynasty, an unbiased history. So I got recommended this a while ago, about a few months back, and this is, I guess, a successor to Dovahadi. Another content creator is Matthias. Another Dovahadi inspired creator. And so what I'm getting the impression of is that this is supposed to continue where Dovahadi stopped his Unbiased History series, due to YouTube and people not being able to handle the joke and the humor of his Unbiased History series, which is just a tragedy personally, because that really was a great series. And you know what? Like, some people need to lighten up. I think that's the worst part about the modern day. People are so quick to offense, and with like cancel culture and stuff, like, it's a bit much in my opinion. So it's a shame, mainly because, we lost Ovadi, and I heard he's coming back, but to what degree, I don't know if he'll even continue his Unbiased History series, due to the fear of the backlash that would cause. But, I just want to say that I do have a great fondness for the Unbiased History series. That was kind of the first series on this channel that actually got people watching. Like, when I first started this channel, I was watching, I think my first ever series was all the oversimplified videos, and those did, alright. But then, like, I got a recommendation for the Unbiased History series. I watched it all, and that's where I gained some of my earliest followers, like 30 to 40. That was my first 30 to 40 subscribers, and then, from then on, it's all history from there. No pun intended. Actually, yeah, the pun was intended. But, and so, like I said, I had a lot of fondness for it. I loved it. And like I said, it being unfinished, it's just a tragedy. So it's kind of cool to see someone decide to, take up the reins and continue. I don't know how this is gonna go. I mean, the art style already is bam. Like, it's already a dead ringer, But I guess it's gonna be the content, such as the jokes or, the humor, because Dovahadi had a really great humor. Like, his videos are hilarious. So again, I know this is still a different guy, so you can't expect 100% Dovahadi. I'm just looking to be entertained, or just to be kind of like enjoy myself, And I'm probably not going to talk or look for any actual historical accuracy. Like, when we were watching Dovahadi, I knew the whole point is that it's a parody, it's a joke. It's meant to just be funny and entertaining, and that's all I'm looking forward to in this. So, yeah, I think I've rambled on long enough. We should just get to this video. So, yeah, let's watch and learn about the Heraclian Dynasty by Unbiased History, from the Unbiased History series, by Basileus Studios.
Devoid of all consideration, when every day's a waking nightmare.
Yo, this song's kind of going hard. What the heck? I always did love Dova Hadi's anime intros. Granted, I had to mute a few of them in the past because copyright. But this song goes hard. I'm actually really liking it so far. Oh wow, I just caught that, the Andrew Tate. You know, okay, that's a nice little visual gag. I'm glad I stopped right here. I didn't even notice that until like right now. But yeah, so far I'm really digging the intro, you know?
If you ever want to know why
Gosh
I
darn
bought
it.
with pie,
An entire generation of Romans had grown up knowing nothing but war against demons from every corner of the known world. The barbarian Avars, the stupid Slavs, the savage Visigoths, and the Lombards with their schizophrenic borders that only a germ would draw on a map. But now, for the first time in their life, the Romans could rest. With the murder of Khosrow, with the ascension of his demonic son, peace had finally been secured. Of course, barbarians that they were, the Sassanids were consumed by civil wars for the following years. They never learn, do they? However, for the time being, it was a time to celebrate. Rome lives. Heraclius had done the impossible. After 20 years of non-stop strikes against the body of Rome and of Christ, the barbarians had finally been brought to their knees, and Rome celebrated in triumph. Heraclius breathed a sigh of relief. However, this peace was not to last, for a new war was coming, with an enemy that would torment Rome for far longer than the Persians. An enemy so strong it would bring the fight to every corner of the empire, and nearly destroyed the Roman people for good.
And now, finally, we turn to Arabia. The decades of brutal war were only a taste of what was to come. Satan had an even bigger plan to destroy the empire, for deep in the Arabian desert, his worst demon was preparing to strike. Through treachery and lying, raping and enslaving.
That's supposed to be the Prophet Muhammad, right? Is it?
Muhammad would
Okay, that was a good one. Yeah, that's a big thing with Islam, right? You cannot depict the Prophet Muhammad. That's like a big no-no. No paintings, no pictures, you know. Sorry. So, yeah, I love this look right here. Yeah, I could see why Dova Hadi was super afraid, you know, to continue going, right? But man,
treachery and lying, raping and enslaving.
Argentinians are humans.
Muhammad would unite the Arabs under the banner of his corrupted new faith, Islam. This new religion of peace preached jihad, that being war against all non-Muslims, a heresy formed by stealing parts from the Middle Eastern pagans, Jews, and Zoroastrians. And now, he was doing the unforgivable of unforgivable sins, claiming to be the last prophet of the Abrahamic faiths. And even worse, he claims that Jesus Christ hadn't died on the cross, but instead cried like a bitch to Allah to save him. Muhammad started his campaign by sending a letter to Heraclius demanding that he become a slave, convert to Islam, and give up the Roman Empire to him. When this letter was read in front of Heraclius, he was angry but respectful, and declined the generous offer, sending the Arabs on their way. Muhammad had also sent a letter to Khosrow. Absolutely furious that someone was trying to be more barbaric and satanic than him, he tore the letter to pieces. When Muhammad had heard of this, he simply said, "May his empire be torn to pieces as well." Thus, The Islamic conquest had begun.
A raiding party was sent from the south against the Romans. Due to his age, Heraclius wasn't fit to lead armies in battle anymore, so he sent his brother, Theodore, to defend the empire. The armies met at Muta, where the Romans won. During the battle, the Muslim general was killed, being replaced by the second in command, but he was also killed and replaced by his second in command, who also got killed and replaced by his second in command. Again,
That's like 10th in command. Yeah, I noticed I did notice the narrator change, which I'm not sure if Basileus Studios himself is. I mean, I read some of this, like obviously there were a lot of development issues making this, like, you know, I get that for sure. Yeah, like stuff like this, even like glorified, like, you know, like comedy series, like Dova Hadi can be really tough to make, so it's cool.
against all odds, he prevented a total disaster. He was something different, something the Romans hadn't seen for almost 1,000 years.
In the year 632, Muhammad finally...
Yeah, I caught that Hannibal Barca little thing. Like, someone as comparable to Hannibal Barca, instant Chad material, if you ask me.
1,000 years.
In the year 632, Muhammad finally died. But this didn't spare the Romans. For 2 years, the Muslims prepared to strike. They gathered up as many corrupted souls as they could, and among them, one stood out above all. His name was Khalid ibn al-Walid, the greatest general of the age. He was the one given command against the Persians, and did as he was told. During the first clash, Khalid killed 3 Sassanid officers single-handedly, and then ordered his men to charge, which devastated the Sassanids. He repeated this a few more times, or he just encircled them, proving both the prowess of this greatest of generals, and the sheer retardation of the Sassanids. But before he could capture all of Mesopotamia, or even just the Persian capital, he was ordered to capture the Levant from the Romans. The last bit of his virtuous soul had made him take a route through the harsh desert, which would lead to the death of many from attrition. Sadly, he still had enough men for his demonic part to fight against the Romans. He appeared north of the Roman forces in Palestine, went south, defeated an outnumbered army led by Heraclius' brother, went up north again, defeated another Roman army, and arrived at the gates of Damascus, beginning a siege. Heraclius sent an army to help the outnumbered garrison, and then they got ambushed. Instead of launching a sortie at this very moment and ending the siege, the commander of the garrison hid inside the walls and watched as his fellow Romans were slaughtered. Khalid marched north and defeated Theodore again. This Heraclius could not handle anymore. He was tired of his brother's shortcomings, even more so after Emesa was lost. He gathered up all available men, around 50,000, and sent them against the Arabs under an Armenian general named Vahan. Khalid soon realized that he could be attacked from 2 sides, and thus marched towards the Yarmouk River. And we all know what happens here. Vahan organized his army in 4 groups. Khalid did the same, mimicking the Roman formation with his demons. Over the course of a few days, the Byzantines charged at the Arabs, thinning out their ranks. On the last day, they were about to tear through their infantry. However, the Arabs charged at them, strangely without the cavalry, while they were about to lose. Despite their previous defeats, the Romans, they were about to vanquish the Arabs. They were about to save the East. They were about to upkeep the life's work of Heraclius. And in the last second, right before the deserved Roman victory, the Arab cavalry was sighted, riding towards the Roman flank, with Khalid at its front. The second they charged.
Oh, dang, that makes sense. Literally hit him with a flanking maneuver, the oldest trick in the book. You know what, I do like these videos like Dova Hadi and Unbiased History, because they actually make me inspired to go look up what the heck, like, how things specifically happened in real life. Like, you know, I think it's just a great jumping point to, like, doing my own private research, I think. But dang, you know. This dude's a Chad, yeah, he's like wrecking the Romans.
Judged. All Roman morale collapsed. Not even the cataphracts could stop the demonic horsemen. The men routed and ran towards the bridge across the Yarmouk River, while the Muslims pursued. To their horror, they found out it was blocked. They were doomed. Half the army was slaughtered. No one was taken captive. The field was full of blood and weapons which the Muslims could take for themselves. The Romans hadn't suffered a defeat of this scale for hundreds of years. The East was doomed to fall, just like the West. The Muslims then marched on Jerusalem and took the holiest of cities. Antioch was soon to follow, together with all of Armenia. Ctesiphon was taken in 637, ending the decade-long rule of the Sassanids. Alexandria and Egypt would both fall in 640.
You know, the thing is, when we looked at the Abbasid series by Epic History, the rise of, you know, Islam was such, like, it came in like a wrecking ball. You know, like just an explosive rise and conquest. And when we saw that video, yeah, the Romans were on the back foot, especially at the rise of Islam, you know? And you can definitely see why. Just insane, you know? One of the biggest explosions in history, I'd say.
And when the news reached Heraclius, his mental health went completely to the ground. The realization that he was trapped in an old body, forced to watch as his life's work fell apart, was too much to handle.
Yeah, that kind of sucks. You know, like when we saw the last video regarding it, how much effort he put into preserving the East and fighting for it, and then having to live to see that all. That actually is really tragic. Like, what the heck? Like, that's actually really sad.
Even for the greatest Roman alive, and he died instantly.
Khalid died the next year, his biggest regret, not dying on the battlefield to prevent the damage he would do to the world.
Back in Constantinople, Heraclius was succeeded by the son he had with Eudoxia, Constantine III, and the son he had with Martina, 15-year-old Heraclius, later crowning his brother David as well. Now, everyone knew Constantine was the real emperor, but Martina just had to start bitching about her rights and her son deserving power and blah blah blah, making a big scene at the Hippodrome. That ended up backfiring, since no one wanted an old woman as empress. Constantine crossed the Bosphorus just to get away from her bitching, but the second he got there, he fell ill and died. Last moments he appealed to the army to protect his son, the 10-year-old Constantine. Headed by the General Valentine, the Eastern Army arrived in Constantinople and demanded to see Constantine unharmed. The weak Heraclius had no real other option than to bring him out and embrace him. The ambitious Valentine wasn't content with this, so he began pressuring the Senate into forming a coup against Martina. The senators, tired of her bitching, agreed, and so Valentine entered the city. The Senate then appointed the Patriarch Paul II as Constantine's regent, but real power lay in the hands of Valentine, who had married the young emperor to his daughter and was named chief general while doing nothing to stop the Muslim conquest of Egypt.
Cutting out Martinus's tongue and slicing off both Heraclius and his brother's tongues, exiling them all.
Patriarch Paul openly opposed this move, and when Valentine and his soldiers attempted to seize him, the crowds came to the rescue and hacked them all to pieces, leaving Constantine as the sole ruler of the Roman Empire.
Yeah, you know, like I said, I'm not really familiar with Byzantine history. Like, I know a bit about, like, you know, Rome, like the West, and Rome when it was, like, you know, still, yeah, when the West was still around, but after its fall, other than, like, Justinian and some of the videos we've seen, like Belisari, no, not Belisari, is Basil II. Yeah, for the most part, like I said, Byzantine history is a part of history that I've neglected the most in learning and looking in depth towards. So like some of this, I'm like, huh, you know, like that's different. Like I don't even have like that much of a familiarity with all of it, you know. So yeah.
At the age of just 14 years old, he would be called Constans to distinguish him from his father. His successor Uthman recalled the conqueror of Egypt to help him secure his position. Seeing an opportunity, in 645 Constans sent a fleet under the general Manuel to recapture Alexandria, which he did successfully, but not much else. Fucking around the Egyptian coast long enough for the Muslims to return, and the scared Manuel fled like a bitch to Constantinople. The Muslims then razed the walls of Alexandria to the ground and continued westward towards Roman Africa. The Exarch of Africa, Gregory, declared himself emperor, but before he could get his revolt going, he had to deal with the advancing Muslims. He met them at Sufatula, where he was badly defeated and killed. The new Exarch allowed the Muslims to sack the city, and in exchange they halted their advance on the west. Looking inward, Constans forbid further discussions on Christ's nature, seeing it as pointless bickering. This angered several bishops, including the Pope himself, who excommunicated Constans and Paul as heretics. But since this dude hadn't even been appointed Pope by the Emperor, he just arrested him and had his ass exiled. Now, this Pope was right in his theological position, but he was dead wrong when he supported some dude named Olympius in an attempted revolt. Now get this, Olympius had been sent by Constans to arrest the Pope, but he failed. So then he tried to assassinate him, and also failed several times. He then confessed the whole thing to the baffled Pope and asked him to support him in an open revolt against the Emperor, which ended with Olympius dying of some random illness, and the Pope, as I told you, was exiled. The young Emperor then had to say goodbye to his mentor Paul, as he now assumed full control of the empire, a fully grown man with a fully grown beard. This left Constans no choice but to ask for a truce, which only gave Muawiyah more time to strengthen his fleet, and in 654 he invaded Rhodes, tearing the ancient colossus apart and selling it to a Jewish merchant. Muawiyah then set his eyes on Constantinople, and he would have attacked the city were it not for two Christian brothers that discovered his evil plans, and fired up with religious zeal, liberated as many of their Christian brothers, and sailed to Constantinople. When Constans heard of this, he knew what had to be done. While Muawiyah was busy invading Cappadocia, Constans arrived at Phoenix and met with the Muslim fleet in battle. The night before, the Emperor had a dream he was in Thessalonica, and the Patriarch Paul told him he would suffer a crushing defeat. Refusing to give up, the Emperor pressed on, but the Romans were outmatched, and soon the sea was filled with Christian blood. Constans was saved by one of the brothers, who switched clothes with him and sent the Emperor home, donning the purple and slaying many Arabs before being slain himself. This defeat almost broke the Emperor's spirit. 20,000 Romans died, and he only barely escaped with his life. He was at this point spitting against the wind. A brief respite would come when the Arabs started fighting each other, and Constans proved he was still an Heraclian, defeating the Slavs in the Balkans and resettling them in Anatolia, and campaigned one more time against the Muslims. The Emperor, however, increasingly looked to the west. In 660, he had to execute his own brother Theodosius for conspiring against him, and coupled with the perception that he is a coward for fleeing from Phoenix. This made the Emperor very unpopular in the capital, so much so that he got sick of the hate and left for Italy. leaving his young cousin Constantine in charge of Constantinople, and he would prove he was more than up to the task. On his way to Italy, he stopped at Thessalonica, crushed the Slavs, wintered in Athens, arrived in Tarentum, and beat the Lombards back to Benevento. He then visited Rome, the first emperor to do so since the fall of the West.
Constantine then moved to Syracuse.
That is insane, actually, when you think about it. Man. It always does kind of surprise me just knowing how much Rome kind of outgrew its original place at Italy. Like, you know, like, just learning about Rome is so insane, and I really do love it, and I'm really enjoying this video actually so much right now. Like I said, like, I'm having that same feeling of wanting to, like, as soon as this video's done, going off and doing my own personal Googling about Constance right here and wanting to learn more about him. Like, I mean that as a compliment. Like, this is just really, really well done, you know?
Where, for the next 5 years, he planned a massive counter-offensive against the Arabs from North Africa. But one day, while chilling in a bath, a plebe struck me in the head with a bucket. When his other servants went to check on him, they found the emperor dead.
Wait, what? Wait, I need to get that all. What just happened?
Of the West.
Constantine then moved to Syracuse, where, for the next 5 years, he planned a massive counter-offensive against the Arabs from North Africa. But one day, while chilling in a bath, a plebe struck me in the head with a bucket. When his other servants went to check on him, they found the emperor dead.
That is not how he went out. Wait, I need to pause the video. I need to look this up. Okay, so Wikipedia, death in succession on 15 July 668. He was assassinated in his bath by his chamberlain, either killed with a bucket. You kill someone with a bucket? What? He just or was stabbed with a knife. You know what? I'm willing to believe the knife sounds better. But then again, it's just funny to think he got smacked so hard with a bucket, the dude went out. Wait, I'm trying to look at this art right here. That's wild. That's a wild way to go. Okay, wait. Let's get back to this.
The Sicilians were quick to acclaim a new emperor, but Constantine arrived as soon as he heard of his father's demise and put the whole lot of them to death, returning to Constantinople, where he was crowned as Constantine IV. He began his rule by dealing with some disgruntled generals from Anatolia who marched on the capital and demanded that Constantine make his two younger brothers co-rulers with him, on the curious grounds that, since heaven was ruled by a trinity, so should the earth be as well. Constantine invited the leaders to discuss the matter, impaling a lot of them as soon as they arrived, later having his brother's noses slit to prevent any power disputes. In the caliphate, Muawiyah emerged as the new caliph after a civil war. He set up his base in the city of Damascus and began preparations to bring Byzantium down. In the east, a rebel general named Sertorius tried to get support from Muawiyah and sent a commander to bribe the new caliph. In response, Constantine sent the general Andrew to counter-bribe Muawiyah. Andrew then captured...
I was wondering when the Andrew Tate character would show up.
Constantine sent the general Andrew to counter...
My unmanned.
bribe Muawiyah. Andrew then captured the royal commander in battle and chopped his cock and balls off. Constantine then sent the troops to capture Sertorius, who, scared for his life, got on his horse and whipped him so bad that the horse ran directly to some walls, killing the rebel instantly. Seeing this threat so close to home, and fearing that a naval battle might turn to disaster like the one suffered by his father, the emperor turned to the most brilliant man of his age, Callinicus of Heliopolis, to build him a weapon that would literally burn the Arabs alive.
Oh, is this gonna be the origin of Greek fire? Which is one of the coolest things ever made. Like, in terms of warfare.
Thus, Constantine equipped all his ships with this wonder of a weapon, which would be known as Greek fire.
Heck yeah.
In other words, the medieval flamethrower, God's gift to the Romans. Muawiyah agreed to pay Constantine 5.
The Romans were wild, man. Like, I always did love seeing the evolution of Rome because, you know, they were from, like, antiquity, an existing, you know, force all the way to, like, near, it was in the year, like, 14 something that the Byzantium fell, like, pretty close to, like past the Renaissance or something. Wait. Yeah, in the 1400s, near the Renaissance, they were around for a freaking long time, and like they helped revolutionize so much of like Western society, culture, and just warfare, like legions, weaponry. They evolved from like the earliest, you know, antiquity armies with the phalanx, and were, you know, in the medieval era with knights, and, you know, inventing flamethrower is just a cool, like, a cool evolution, I think. They were around for so long, and, like, one of the most, you know, they always kept evolving, which goes to show their adaptation and versatility, which were big factors in why Rome was so great, you know? So yeah, that's just amazing.
£1,000 of gold a year, plus 50 horses and 50 slaves, dying a year later. Constantine now proved himself as the defender of the Christian faith and a true successor to Heraclius, being praised in all corners of his empire and beyond, accepting the tribute of the Slavs, the Avars, the Lombards, and the Franks, who, inspired by the Roman success against the Muslims, were becoming increasingly civilized.
With the desert-dwelling demons in check, the savior of Christendom turned west, saving Thessalonica from some invading Slavs, and then focusing on a barbarian horde desperately needing to be punished, the Bulgars. Under their leader, Khan Asparuk, the Bulgars crossed the Danube and began subjugating the Slavic tribes, threatening the safety of Thrace. The emperor personally led an army to face them, while an auxiliary fleet landed near the Danube. When the Bulgars saw the approaching Romans, they cowardly hid behind some fatness. Constantine ordered his men to attack, but he began to suffer agonizing attacks due to a severe case of gout. When the emperor retreated to Mesembria to be properly treated, rumors then spread that he had abandoned his army, and they began to flee. It was then that the Bulgars struck from behind, killing as many Romans as they could, forcing Constantine to sue for peace and return to Constantinople in shame.
In 680, Constantine invited all of the empire's bishops to openly discuss Christ's nature. The Sixth Ecumenical Council was then held in the imperial palace, with the emperor listening attentively and being respectful and open-minded. In the end, the bishops rejected the doctrine proposed by Heraclius and Sergius and confirmed the two wills of Christ. Constantine made a speech officializing this and was acclaimed as the new Constantine the Great. His legacy secured, the sickly Constantine died, leaving the empire to his 16-year-old son, Justinian II. His first move as emperor was breaking the truce with the Caliphate, now ruled by Abd al-Malik. He sent the general Leontius to Armenia and Georgia, where the kings of the region were scaleless of Justinian and switched allegiance back to the empire. Leontius then went south to Syria and had his men raid the countryside. Abd al-Malik then begged Justinian to renew the peace, sending even more gold and more horses than Muawiyah had sent. Both empires would now share tax revenue from Cyprus, and the Caliph also begged Justinian to take care of the Mardaites, a group of Christians living in the Caliphate that were a constant pain in the ass for the Muslims in Lebanon. Justinian relocated them in southern Anatolia, thus strengthening the defenses of the region, but some people, like Leontius, protested this move because he had only won victories in Syria because of the Mardaites fucking the Caliph's shit up. Justinian paid no attention to these protests, as he saw the repopulation of Anatolia as a matter of utmost importance. To this effect, he looked west, where he again brought peace to Rhodes, now with the Bulgars and the Slavs. He campaigned as far as Thessalonica, where he was cheered by the Romans as a liberator. Where he was returning from the campaign, he was ambushed by some Bulgars, but crushed them and headed home. The emperor had minted new coins with his face on one side and that of Jesus on the other. Abd al-Malik refused to mint coins depicting our Lord and Savior, so he sent Justinian some fake-ass coins, which made him explode in anger. Justinian gathered an army of resettled Slavs led by their leader Nebulus, alongside a force led by Leontius, and sent them to Sebastopol, where the Muslims had invaded. The Romans were dealing significant damage to the Muslims until the Slavs defected to the Caliphate and crushed Leontius in battle. Justinian had as many Slavs captured and executed for this most vile treachery. As for Leontius, he recalled him to Constantinople and exiled him the fuck away. During all of this, the Arabs again took Armenia for themselves. Justinian imitated his father by convening another church council to sort of fuse this out. Thus, this would be known as the Quinisex Council. He then continued to imitate his namesake Justinian by starting several building projects, including the new city he named Justinianopolis. All of this paid by taxing the plebs. The emperor appointed a monk named Theodotos, known for confiscating aristocrats' wealth, and Stephen the Persian as state treasurers, the latter being infamous for stoning plebs that didn't work hard enough, and was rumored to have whipped the emperor's mother. The greedy aristocrats could take no more of this, and so they rallied behind Leontius, who had been recalled from exile and given a second chance by the merciful emperor. Leontius moved on the capital, entered the Hagia Sophia, and was crowned emperor by the patriarch. Justinian tried to quell this rebellion with his words, but they would have none of it, calling for his blood. He was captured and dragged in chains toward Leontius, where, probably as a sick joke, the new emperor now gave Justinian his second chance, and instead of executing him, he slit his nose and tongue, putting him in a boat and exiling him into Crimea. Leontius then had Theodotus and Stephen burnt.
Yo, that is wild. Holy crap. Yeah, the Romans and their self-destructiveness, right? Just constantly turning on each other, betraying each other, declaring one another emperor, and then just, you know, they really are their sort of worst enemies, the Romans. Like, you think, yeah, while their empire's diminishing and shrinking by the day because of outside enemies, they're too busy, like, turning on each other left and right. So, yeah, that self-destructiveness, which just became a big part of the Romans, you know, is just wild. And even now, like, crap.
Alive, along with anyone that had supported Justinian. His reign started with the Arabs capturing Carthage and putting an end to the Exarchate of Africa. Leontius sent a general to retake the territory, initially winning some battles and almost retaking all of it. He was eventually defeated by the Muslims, and instead of reporting the failure to the emperor, the soldiers proclaimed the general Absamar emperor and went for Constantinople, slitting Leontius' nose and torturing him. Absamar renames himself Tiberius III and began his rule. Tiberius would prove to be an improvement over Leontius, but everyone could tell he wasn't cut out for the job. For the real, legitimate emperor sat in a cold room in Crimea, contemplating all he had lost and planning his next move.
Coming soon. Heck yeah. Alright, so I want to give my thoughts regarding the video. I thought it was really well done, personally. Obviously, there are some kinks, and obviously, there were issues he had making this video, but still, you know, overall, I think it was really, it was a really good, like, you know, Dovahadi inspired video, in my opinion. Like, yeah, it got me to that point where I really wanted to, like, look up what the heck was actually went down, which the original Dovahadi really inspired in me. And I really did find certain points of this very humorous and just, like, again, like, informative. I really liked it overall, I would say. Like, Basileus Studios, great job. I think what you're doing is great. and you know, good luck with this, because quite frankly, like, again, the Nova Hottie quit because of the threats, or like the fear of what would happen, right? And this guy just went for it, so it does kind of, you know, good luck, but overall, really great effort and great work. And, you know, I know that the actual Dova Hottie said he would come back. Again, I don't know if he's actually going to continue his Unbiased History series about the Byzantines, or just move on to something else. If he does come back and he doesn't continue Unbiased History, then yeah, Basileus Studios can carry, I guess, the torch, and it ain't such a bad option, you know. It would be cool to have like a closure to this whole thing. So overall, just great job. I really liked it. I was entertained, and I wasn't really bored. I was actually like really paying attention and invested, you know. So yeah, it's late outside, so I should probably get ready for bed. So I don't know. I'm gonna end the video right here, and I guess I'll see you all in the next one. Bye everyone.